false flag, terror attacks, Bill Gates, Henry Kissinger, New World Order, mind control, Bank of America stealing homes with cut and paste mortgage loans, police, state, taser guns, FEMA camps, man to run. Monsanto rules the food supply while Big Pharma dopes your mind. Prison system, puppeteers, foundations, fund the fears, fund the evil through the years. The world's not as it appears. CIA smuggles drugs while Wachovia and Wells Fargo launder them, then give the proceeds to the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank. Now the IRS takes money out of every single check. Money created out of thin air and leave you with debt. They want to make you a serf, a slave to their demand. They want to take your life in every way they can. Fluoride, GMO, vaccines, chemtrails, United Nations genocide. The world they show us is not real. This is how they kill and steal. Rothschild, Bundy, Rockefeller, Club of Rome. On the Georgia Guide, songs is written in stone. Cut through the matrix, awaken to the lies. Do not be hypnotized. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, Howard Nema, and this is Truth Talk News. Okay, it's Tuesday, October 9th. I just want to make sure my mic levels aren't too hot there. Okay. Welcome to the show, and welcome to the New World Order. What else can we say as things just get crazier every day? I can't even believe what's been going on in the media. I mean, let's just get right to it. Looking at the Drudge Report, it's unbelievable. Let's see what we have going on here. CEO threatens to fire employees if president is reelected, raise taxes. The big news, though, of course, is leave me alone, Obama. And again, the establishment media is all, I mean, has this country so divided. This left-right paradigm, this false paradigm, thinking that each side difference will change things, and Obama just needs more time, and then the Republicans are saying, well, we need to do this and reduce the debt spending and all that, but meanwhile they want to keep the military strong. It's like again, Orwellian is the right word to use. It's an Orwellian situation. So what else we got going on here? Let me stretch this out so everyone can see the articles. What's on Drudge right now? U.S. officer got no reply to request for more security in Benghazi. SpaceX rocket glitch puts satellite in wrong orbit. But the real thing is leave me alone, Obama. And this is from election 2012, the Wall Street Journal, no less. Big Bird wants out of the campaign ad. Look at that. It appears Big Bird is going to have an ad here, and it seems he's not thrilled about his cameo appearance in the presidential race. So Big Bird, the folks at Sesame Street are asking the Obama campaign to pull down the TV ad released Tuesday that mocks Mitt Romney for vowing to yank the subsidy to PBS. At the presidential debate in Denver last week, Mr. Romney said he would end the subsidy in view of the nation's fiscal troubles. Again, I love Big Bird, the Republican challenger said, but I'm not going to keep spending money on things to borrow money from China to pay for. Up went the ad team by Obama called Big Bird that suggests Mr. Romney is targeting children's programming. It's totally program. It's exactly what you can call it. Children's programming. I don't know what else you can call that. That is very well written and is absolutely factual. Ladies and gentlemen, the children are being programmed. It is absolutely disgusting. Programming is the right word to use. Incredible. So let me see. Is there a video here? This would be hysterical if it is. Yeah, it is a video. Let's hear a Big Bird. Yeah. Oh my God, I haven't watched Sesame Street. Even my son didn't watch Sesame Street. He wasn't into that. He's like 14 now, a little less than 14, a little 13 and a half. And he was clearly the next generation. It was not a Big Bird kid, but whatever. Here's Big Bird. I remember him.
When your needs are beyond the standard, when you demand more than the status quo,
what is this garbage?
Than the Remax collection.
Oh, Remax Realty.
A new level of
I guess if you in this economy you can afford to sell your home and make a profit, maybe. Wall Street Journal, that figures.
I approve this message.
Oh God.
Bernie Madoff, Ken Lay, Dennis Kozlowski, criminals, gluttons of greed, and the evil genius who towered over them. One man has the guts to speak his name.
Big Bird, Big Bird, Big Bird.
Big, yellow, a menace to our economy. Mitt Romney knows it's not Wall Street you have to worry about. It's Sesame Street.
Wait a minute. I gotta hear this again. This is too much. This is just too much. Woo-hoo-hoo! All right. I can't get over this.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Bernie Madoff, Ken Lay, Dennis Kozlowski, criminals, gluttons of greed, and the evil genius who towered over
Rockefeller,
them.
Rothschild.
One man has the guts to speak his name.
Big Bird, Big Bird, Big Bird.
It's Big Bird.
Big, yellow, a menace to our economy. Mitt Romney knows it's not Wall Street you have to worry about. It's Sesame Street.
I'm going to stop the subsidy to PBS.
Mitt Romney, taking out our enemies no matter where they nest.
Oh my God, that is hysterical. Oh wow, that was funny. Oh my God. All right, let's see. Getting back to information. Yeah, let's see what this thing is about. This that's just too much. Let's just see what U.S. officer got no reply to requests for more security in Benghazi. Let's just keep it a little light for a minute before we get into the heavy fact that World War III is cooking in a pressure cooker right now. I mean, if you wanted to look at it, it's like, you know, all the frogs are in the pot and it's nice and comfortable and the water's slowly being cooked up. Next thing you know, everyone's going to be cooked. All right. There was something funny else that I saw here that I wanted to, I thought looked interesting. Aside from, yeah, there was, yes, CEO threatens to fire employees if president is reelected. Yeah, what's this have to do? That's just like hysterical. This is from something called Newsbusters. Tell the Truth, Media Research Center. Never heard of Newsbusters. Have to look into them. So again, take all this information to heart. It's just I'm revealing things most people in the mainstream media don't show. That's why it's Truth Talk News. And again, Howard Nema here. Want to give a shout out to Chris Freedom Flowers, who is back in the fold, and we'll be hearing from him soon again. And I'm so happy to have my brother in freedom and liberty back on the truth road. In fact, if it wasn't for Chris, I wouldn't be doing this at all. He sort of opened the avenue to me, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm glad that he's been very busy. I mean, we all have busy lives. You know, this is a sacrifice. And I'm just glad that he has the time now to do some work, because that's what it is. It's work. This is requires effort, time, and in some cases money, depending upon what's going on. I know Harry Link is heavily working with Truth Broadcast Network to bring it to the next level. Costs of time, effort, and money. Just keeping the web pages, the various pages that all of these great activists have, and again, talking about a great activist, and I'm not going to go away from this. Well, I just have to remember, I should make a mental note. First, I'm going to thank Jeff Durkin, WeAreChange Connecticut. He is just awesome. I have an interview that he did with Susan Lindauer. CIA asset, had a lot of information. It's a 15-minute interview, and I'm gonna broadcast it tonight. Again, I want to thank Jim Russell for all he does. We all work together here at WeAreChange Connecticut, and he's working closer to getting the fluoride situation. As I mentioned, I gave a shout out again, and I'll do it again to Wendy. And for those in Connecticut that are here in Torrington, Wendy Traub, she's running for state rep. I woke her up. She was here for a good half an hour, and I really did my best to explain to her what's going on. And she wrote back, as I said the other day, it was a pleasure talking with you last week, and thank you for your support and thought-provoking information. And again, if she's elected, I'm telling you, we can make change, because these are people that, you know, are really, you know, not part of the cog. Like, unfortunately, the incumbent, or you know, I should say the current state rep here is Michelle Cook, and she's a nice lady and everything else, and she's a school teacher. She comes from this indoctrinated programming and like Agenda 21, and I got to work on the mayor. I got to work on the city here. So we have issues here in Connecticut, in my town, and I really haven't gotten a chance to directly go into it. I think maybe I will, considering I'm going to start to focus a little bit more on some local stuff. There is a lot of local stuff, a lot of great things too. My friend Jacques Williams is doing a great job with the Singer-Songwriter Network, and of course the whole Torrington Downtown Partners Development. They're developing the downtown into an artistic, into an arts community with music and art and culture. And he's a big part of it on the Torrington Arts and Culture Committee. And I've been trying to find the time to work it in there. But with As Your Soul back on the road in just a little bit, my band, which is usually the music you hear when you hear any of the music, it's the band is As Your Soul, and you got a lot of things going on. It's difficult to try to make everything happen, but this is the most important thing, honestly, that I do. I understand that it's a selfless thing, and I understand that other people have viewpoints and opinions, and that's what's great about America. But there's no like personal interest in this. I mean, if you really want to support Howard Nema, support me through my music, As Your Soul, my band, for giving people something that they can get off on when we play live, and videos. You can Google As Your Soul. You'll see a lot of, to see if it's into it. AZURESOUL, and that's what I would promote. This is something that we need to understand as a humanity, as a I don't want to say a race, because it's more, it's as a humanity, as a species. That's the right word to use, because race sounds like like it's one thing. It's not. It's a species. Again, it's division tactics and hatred and all that. Even back in thousands of years ago with slavery, the way you institute tyranny and slavery and other things is by getting the people to hate people that are different, or for whatever reason. And this goes through history, and I spoke about it last night with the Armenian genocide and the hatred, and then what's going on in Africa and in Rwanda and other places where Christians are being slaughtered, and the UN's doing nothing. Some children are actually being literally nailed, like symbolically crucified on the ground and left to die. This is happening like right now. 10-year-old boys, 12-year-old boys. Literally, I've seen pictures, and you can Google this. It's unbelievable, because everything I tell you here is truth. This is why it's Truth Talk News. But you have to do the work. You can't just take this information and it's like entertainment. It's really not entertainment. I'm glad I hope you're here for expanding thought and thought-provoking information. That is like what Wendy said here. So that is true. But you have to research it and find your own truth. Don't ignore it. Don't parrot it for sure. Find your own truth. There is only one truth, and that is the truth. And once you find it, share it with everyone you know in your own way. Whether that be if it's writing, or whether that be a video or audio or whatever you want to do, but get it out there. Get it on the internet. Get it on Truth Broadcast Network. Go to Truth Broadcast Network, sign in, become a member, and you can have an account to post on there. Now, it is sensitive now. We've been hacked heavily. And again, Harry's doing tremendous work. They knocked down the YouTube page, all these other things that they've been doing. The COINTELPRO and the NSA and all our lovely friends at the FBI who are recording this broadcast as we speak. How you doing, guys? Haven't given a call out to you in a while. I used to do it every broadcast once that thing came through. It was in November. It'll be a year. You know that? Are you guys going to celebrate with some champagne or what? When it's the 1-year anniversary that the FBI was given the task of recording all internet radio broadcasts and transmissions. What we're doing right here, which is multimedia. That is the truth. So we have this decaying society. We have, Obama is now, if he's reelected, this particular CEO, his name is David Siegel. He's the founder and CEO of a real estate company called Westgate Resorts. Monday, he threatened to fire some employees if Barack Obama is reelected and carries out his plan to raise taxes on the so-called rich. The following are highlighted from the email. As most of you know, our company has continued to succeed in spite of a very dismal economy. There is no question that the economy has changed for the worse and that we have not seen any improvement over the past 4 years. I would agree. That's my commentary. In spite of all the challenges we have faced, the good news is that the economy doesn't currently pose a threat to your job. What does threaten your job, however, is another 4 years of the same presidential administration. Of course, as your employer, I can't tell you whom to vote for, and I certainly wouldn't interfere with your right to vote for whomever you choose. In fact, I encourage you to vote for whomever you think will serve your interests best. Now, the economy is falling apart, and people like me, who made all the right decisions and invested in themselves, are being forced to bail out all the people who didn't. The people that overspent their paychecks. This is interesting. Okay, this is very interesting. I'm going to get a little tighter so everyone can read it, and it'll be on record here closer. This is an email to all my valued employees from David Siegel, and there he is in the corner. All right. So now the economy is falling apart, and people like me who made all the right decisions and invested in themselves are being forced to bail out all the people who didn't. The people that overspent their paychecks suddenly feel entitled to the same luxuries that I earned and sacrificed 42 years of my life for. Yes, business ownership has its benefits, but the price I've paid is steep and not without wounds. Unfortunately, the costs of running a business have gotten out of control, and let me tell you why. We are being taxed to death, and that's the truth. And the government thinks we don't pay enough. We pay state taxes, federal taxes, property taxes, sales and use taxes, and payroll taxes, workers' compensation taxes, and unemployment taxes. I even have to hire an entire department to manage all of these taxes. The question I have is this. Who is really stimulating the economy? Is it the government that wants to take money from those who have earned it and give it to those who have not? It's called communism, by the way. It's Marxism. Or is it people like me who built a company out of his garage and directly employs over 7,000 people and hosts over 3 million people per year? Well, listen, I got your vote. I think I'm going to give you a call. I'm going to email you back there. I'm going to try to get in touch with you, David Siegel of this real estate company. I'd love to get this guy knows what it's at. This is the truth. This is the truth. We are being taxed to death, regulated to death. Agenda 21, United Nations protocols, NATO telling Obama what to do to war, blow people up, give liberty and freedom in Libya, throw some love bombs down there. It's called military kinetic actions. No problems. We're not having any military actions. We're just going to bomb strategic targets. No problems. and 30,000 civilians died in the name of, well, freeing the country. They had to give them freedom and liberty so that Al-Qaeda can take over the government, and the Rothschilds can set up another central bank, steal all the resources of the country, and vilify the tyrant Gaddafi, who was not without fault, ladies and gentlemen, but certainly was not the animal that they picked him out to be for all the years. He was just always demonized about the things, but he did have for the general population, they did have benefits that, you would say, oh, you're a traitor, you can't talk about that because, no, they have you so mind controlled, ladies and gentlemen, that if you can believe that everything is what the mainstream media on all sources, left, right, indifferent, all this stuff that's thrown at you is the truth, you've got to dig a little deeper. You got to do your homework, and that's what you got to do. It's the truth. Now, this guy's talking a lot of truth. So now he's got 7,000 people, and he hosts over 3 million people per year. Okay? It's incredible. So he did a tremendous thing. That's a huge business. I mean, it's still a small business, but that's a tremendous accomplishment. So you want to take this stuff that you want to put this guy out of business. See, everything is going to be run by the state, ladies and gentlemen. They are going to do, this is going to be like horrific if we allow it to happen. And we can't allow it to happen. This is why it's America. This is what freedom is about. Standing up for your rights, not allowing tyrants to take away your rights and steal from you. Steal from you. Anything. Intellectual property. Anything. If you profit or try to steal from someone else, you are a thief. And the government is controlled by a cartel through the Federal Reserve System. Okay? Founded in 1913, as many know, many might not. It was never ratified by Congress. It was never, ever voted upon, but passed into law. It was never properly ratified. Created the IRS, and over time, they didn't just do it. See, like everything they do, they create it, they set the precedent, they write the law, the Patriot Act, or the Telecommunications Act, 1996. Okay, that all cell phones had to be trackable and traceable, and all of this other things, and that they can do by October of 2001, a month after 9/11, interestingly enough, right? And then you start hearing about the lady that had the car accident, and she was down in the woods, and they found her because of her cell phone ping, and they just make no mention of it as that's why. See, it's just you're supposed to accept all these things. Like the Nazis were saying, just come this way, go to the showers, no problem. Just accept these things. This is the way it is. So that's the whole point. We have to understand that we're being programmed on a daily basis, like incredibly so. Mind control. The farther you get away from the mainstream media, the better. I know what it is. I still have cable here. My wife is, I just can't get off. She can't get off some of these shows that I just absolutely can't believe she watches. But whatever. Slowly, at least she understands. She's starting to understand. Getting a little personal there, but the New World Order to everybody has their level of resistance. I think that's the right word to use. I've reached, I'm fed up with it to, like death to the New World Order, like Harry Link. By the way, 10 p.m. every night, 10 p.m. Death to the New World Order here on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. And I'm like balls to the wall with it. But, everybody has their different levels and how much they're going to resist. Until you really have the point of, you must make a decision to resist or to concede. And unfortunately, many don't have the courage to really resist enough, to prepare enough, to understand enough. And many will perish as a result of that. When whatever horrific plot these oligarchs have planned for us, financial collapse is imminent. It's just nobody's talking about it. I mean, it's the truth. Federal Reserve will be ending on the 21st of December. The charter, they don't talk about it. It's coming up close. What's going on with that? What's going to happen? Gold, is gold going to be a secret little trap, or is gold going to be the key? There's so much disinformation and different angles and COINTELPRO and going on with this and speculation that it clouds whatever potential truth there could be. So my viewpoint, and it's my viewpoint, is that it's going to be a rapid deceleration of the dollar because of the debts. And if we don't continue the Ponzi scheme, see, I think the doom of it'll be if they renew the charter and we accept the debt. So we have to bring up this charter information. We have to expose it more. It really is. It does end on the 21st. Interestingly enough, it's a 100-year charter. Now, I'm sure they're not going to mention it, and I'm sure they're just going to do it behind closed doors, like they created the Federal Reserve over a hatched plot on Jekyll's Island in 1910, property owned by the Rothschilds' agent, J.P. Morgan. Like I said, things are not as they appear to be. All right, so what else is going on? We have quite a bit of news. I mean, really, I don't want to get into the World War III thing. I figured I'd save that for the second part of the show. But, I mean, we're closing in on it, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? Unbelievable. Washington, D.C. tops list of America's richest cities. Well, of course, from all those, paid-off politicians that are over there. Obama portrayed as a witch doctor in New Jersey business window display. Oh, I like that. Let's see that. All right, Orange County, New York. Oh, look at this, from Orange County, New York. All right. Spring Lake business window display depicts Obama as a witch doctor. How funny. Spring Lake, New Jersey. Okay. That's cool. All right. I told you I was sick. That's great. I love it. That's funny. Obamacare, yeah. I love it. That's just awesome. There's a skeleton above the gravestone with an Obama mask on, too. That's great. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, this is communism. This is socialism. It's going to be authoritarian socialism, totalitarianism. Just like Bill Cooper, he put it right. It's going to be a socialist, totalitarian dictatorship, basically, through the oligarchs, which is really not a dictatorship. It's an oligarchy. But they're hard, strong oligarchs, and their puppets will do whatever they say, and they'll lie, and they'll cheat, and there'll be false flag terror attacks everywhere. And speaking of that, let's get over to Susan Lindauer. And let me get that clip. It was just amazing. First of all, again, shout out, kudos to Jeff Durkin. He's just amazing. He has just gone on fire here. Came on to WeAreChange Connecticut. I think he joined up with us, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, and started really just getting involved. And he has, again, the website. Also, I'm going to promote the website. WeAreChange Connecticut on YouTube, of course, is there, and he can see all of these videos that I'm about to show you. Also, Freedom First Films on YouTube, and we have WeAreChangeCT.org for all Connecticut residents who want to get involved. Get involved. Go to WeAreChangeCT.org and do something in your own community and look around. We have chapters right now in Deep River, East Hartford, Meriden, and Waterbury. Torrington has an unofficial chapter. It's part of the home office. All right, this is As Your Soul. We'll be right back. I'm Howard Nema, and you're watching Truth Talk News on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. They want to take your life from you. And that is what they want to do. They want to take your life from you. I'm Howard Nema. It's Truth Talk News. Thank you for joining me tonight. Again, I wanted to go over the amazing work that Jeff's done at WeAreChange CT. And just going to go to the website. I just recently posted it on the Truth Talk News Freedom First Films page, youtube.com Freedom First Films, and this is the CIA whistleblower Susan Lindauer interview with WeAreChange Connecticut, conducted by Jeff Durkin, and he's just on fire. The first time he's been a friend on my, he joined WeAreChange, and at first he was watching some of the videos that I did. He's from Torrington also, and came over to the 9/11 exposition that we had exposing the criminals from the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth a couple of months back with who was it that went there? It was well, anyway, he was there, and that was the first time I actually met him. And then we, of course, ran into each other on 9/11. He was down there for 4 days streaming on a Ustream. So there's a Ustream page we have there for when we Ustream events that we're doing street events. He's got great equipment, great cameras and iPads and all sorts of software. So he's a real asset to the truth movement here in Connecticut, and we're very lucky to have him. And I just wanted to go on record and say that. Jeff, you're doing an amazing job. And that said, I'm going to show you this little clip here that I did a little intro this morning. I just wanted to sort of congratulate him and also share it. Now, everybody should, by the way. This is all embeddable on YouTube, Freedom First Films, and you can go to truthbroadcastnetwork.com, and you can share this everywhere and share these broadcasts. This is how it works. You make a tape, you make a show. If you want to do a weekly show or whatever, you do some research. You want to do a 5-minute segment once a week, but do something. Videos are great. It's easy. Everyone's got an iPhone or something. They can take a picture. I mean, video, it's easy. Okay? Do it. All right? I'm Howard Nema, and thank you for joining me. And this is my good friend Jeff Durkin, WeAreChange Connecticut. I'm going to give him a little promo intro here, and here we go. I'm Howard Nema of WeAreChange Connecticut and Truth Talk News on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. My good friend Jeff at WeAreChange Connecticut conducted an interview with Susan Lindauer, a CIA asset who was imprisoned for speaking the truth about 9/11. Great work, Jeff. Great work. Please stay tuned for this important interview.
All right, this is Chef Durkin here. WeAreChange Connecticut. We're here with a wonderful whistleblower who did a great presentation on about her story as a CIA asset and her whistleblowing involved with 9/11 and different events like that. And we're here with Susan Lindauer, the whistleblower. So we're proud to have her. So Susan, thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Thank you very much. It was a great audience tonight.
So just for any new viewers out there, introduce yourself, your background, how you got involved with it, your information. Just try to go through as much as you can.
I was the CIA asset covering Iraq and Libya at the United Nations from 1995 until the Iraq War in 2003. And I worked in anti-terrorism as a specialty, and we developed a peace option for Iraq that would have made the whole conflict avoidable. We also gave advance warning about 9/11. And so when the government decided they wanted to lie to the people about everything and create a phony justification for war, the phony argument about weapons of mass destruction, I was removed. I was definitely in the way. I was very outspoken against the war, and I was subsequently arrested on the Patriot Act and locked up in prison on Carswell Air Force Base while the government rewrote the history books.
So definitely, and try to get more of the background into it. Your story, you mentioned the involvement in Andy Card, your relation to him and all that and the different aspects of that, if you could go into detail with that.
Sure. My cousin was the chief of staff to George Bush, Andrew Card, who leaned into who whispered into George Bush's ear on the morning of 9/11 that the second plane had struck the World Trade Center. And George Bush responded that he had seen a video of the first airplane striking the towers before he entered the classroom, and that he thought it was a lousy pilot. And by doing that, he has admitted advanced knowledge of 9/11.
So what do you think? You talked about the different the warnings you put out months before 9/11, and tell the viewers out there, anybody else, how far was it before 9/11 that you knew the plot and all that stuff?
I learned about 9/11 from my CIA handler in April of 2001. I was summoned to his office with a demand that he had a message to deliver to the Iraqi embassy in New York, and he wanted me to tell them that we were seeking intelligence on airplane hijackings and a strike on the World Trade Center specifically, and that if Iraq this information and failed, that would be a result in a pounding beating that they'd never taken before. And the tragedy was that when I went up to the Iraqis, they immediately responded they would be happy to help us. They had already agreed to allow the FBI to send a task force into Iraq with authorization to conduct terrorism investigations and make arrests. And they said, go ahead and send the FBI if you think there's an attack coming. But the whole point of Washington, so that's another area of severe passivity on Washington's part, where they wanted to attack Iraq, and then the Iraqis deftly solved the problem, and neutralized the threat, but it was Washington's refusal to act that results in this tragedy over and over and over again. You see that there's a deliberate refusal to make decisions that will stop 9/11, and it's an active participation. It's not a passivity. It is an active collaboration with the planning of the attack. And then, of course, we had the peace option on the table. That was weapons inspections, the FBI task force. There was also special contracts for American corporations. We could have had everything we wanted. The CIA was very demanding in what they expected Iraq to give them. It went way beyond the official UN Security Council resolutions. We wanted priority contracts for American corporations in telecommunications, healthcare, hospital equipment, transportation. Iraq offered to buy 1 million American manufactured automobiles every year.
They really wanted
10
war,
years.
ladies and gentlemen.
And I laughed. And they said, well, how about 20 years? I said, no, 10 years will be fine. They offered special preferential contracts in oil. They offered at one point, right before the war, to give us the Lukoil contract.
They wanted war.
And to take Russia's contracts away from them and give them to U.S. companies. And that wasn't enough to satisfy the greed of the United States.
Tell us your involvement now when you go towards Iraq more with Libya and your involvement with that.
Council and Foreign Relations
before the invasion, all that stuff going on right now. Tell us your background on Libya.
I was involved in the Lockerbie negotiations for the trial, the handover of the 2 Libyans. My CIA handler was in Lebanon during the hostage crisis in the 1980s, and he was on the ground when Lockerbie was planned. The bombing of Pan Am 103 was planned, and that was involved. The CIA had infiltrated heroin trafficking out of the Bekaa Valley, and they were taking a profit.
What a shock.
That cut of the profits, big time cuts, making
millions
and millions of dollars personally profiteering as well as financing the black ops.
The New World
And
Order.
so the Defense Intelligence Agency team accused the CIA of having a rogue agent who was double-crossing them. Every time they'd close in on the hostages, the double agent was allegedly reporting it to the Hezbollah, the Islamic Jihad, and so the hostages would be moved. So the Defense Intelligence Agency called out an investigation from Washington, and those guys came out and they got heroin, they got money, they got documentation. They were all flying back to Washington on Pan Am 103 the morning that it crashed, when it blew up out of the sky. And when they died, when all those people died, it killed off all knowledge of the heroin trafficking out of the Bekaa as well, and the CIA's role in heroin.
So now we're talking more about Iran and all that and the escalation, whether it's going to happen or not with World War III with Iran or not, based on would you agree, probably, this is kind of a funny question, but would you agree already that we're already at a covert war with Iran already based on the economic sanctions that have been going on with their nuclear program or their economy or their dollar collapsing, their, I forgot the name of their currency, but something involved with that? Do you think it's already a war, most likely, but the media is not covering it?
That's a really good way a covert war and a proxy war. I look at Syria as a proxy because Syria has a long relationship with Iran, and they are Shiite, and America's allies in the Middle East are Sunnis, the Saudis particularly, are radical Salafists. They believe in Sharia. They're very deeply conservative and fundamentalist. They are not moderate. They are not pro-democracy, and yet across the board you see the United States supporting Qatar and Saudi Arabian sponsored, financially sponsored revolutions in Tunisia, Egypt, Libya. All of these are backed by the CIA, and the CIA is supporting
they're
the
just
Arab
enforcers.
Spring.
They're enforcers.
And we're providing
it's the
guns,
collectivists, the
financing.
Illuminati.
We're training them in propaganda.
Yes.
And that's very important. The CIA is behind a lot of the anti-war propaganda, or excuse me, the pro-war propaganda supporting the Arab Spring.
So anybody else, just for any viewers out there know about, tell us about other whistleblowers that you know of or doing your great work of exposing this to the world about the criminal activity going on. Any people you know involved with whistleblowing, such as yourself?
Well, the one who breaks my heart is Bradley Manning. Bradley Manning needs all of our support.
Barbara Hartwell.
Desperately.
How about Barbara Hartwell?
I'm afraid that they've raised the he's okay. For those of you who don't know Bradley Manning's story, he was the young soldier who released the security tapes to WikiLeaks, which Julian Assange published. But he also released videotape of war crimes by American soldiers in Iraq. And he was accused of aiding and abetting the enemy, which is a serious punishable offense, and treason with a possible life sentence. My fear is that by threatening him with a life sentence, they're actually going to come back and hit him with a 20-year sentence or a 30-year sentence and say, oh, see, we're being generous here. We're being lenient. And that's terrible, because let's put this in perspective, that Lindy England, who was involved in the crimes at Abu Ghraib, the torture, the hideous abuses of Iraqi prisoners, she got 3 years in prison. She's out already. And they want to give Bradley Manning, who has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, and he's been in prison 900 days with no trial. They've refused to give him a trial, and they've held him in solitary confinement for most of that period. They subjected him to every 15 minutes. He was on a suicide watch, and I, having been in prison myself, I can tell you that in a suicide watch, every 15 minutes,
mind control, MK Ultra, mind control,
a question, so that you never fall asleep at all. It produces an induced psychotic state. The reason my story was kept quiet was that I was arrested on the Patriot Act and thrown in prison on Carswell Air Force Base. And so I actually have a lot in common with Bradley Manning. But I was held for 1 year. I was under indictment for 5 years. I was never allowed to have a trial at all. And it was only after 4 years under indictment, after my release from prison, a year and a half after my release from prison, that I was allowed to have one morning hearing. A hearing with 2 witnesses. One of them was a congressional chief of staff. The other one was a university professor who confirmed that I was an intelligence asset, and that we did warn about 9/11 because I told private citizens about it. But I was accused of being incompetent. I was told that they portrayed me as a religious maniac. Though I do believe in God, I'm not an atheist, but it's just the most ridiculous argument that anybody could make if they know me. And it was not supported by any reality, but national security has now become about dumbing down the population. It's actually not to protect the nation's security, it's to protect congressional security, White House security, because if the people have the facts, the people will throw these guys right out of office.
throw him in
It
prison.
just shows too how the government has the war on whistleblowers going even more, taking it to the next level every year, regardless who's in office, whether it's Bradley Manning or Sybil Edmonds, even the FBI translator, and such as yourself and many different other whistleblowers who are coming out and exposing the truth, because you people like yourself should be rewarded for all this stuff. And it shows how the government treats people when they have a conscience to speak out against crimes or a particular attack that you know months before 9/11 knew exactly what was going to happen.
No good deed goes unpunished in Washington. Count on it.
That's for sure.
Just to wrap it up here, tell us about your new book and what it exposes in that book, or more of the background to that, and how you got the name for that book.
My book is Extreme Prejudice, the terrifying story of the Patriot Act and the cover-ups of 9/11 in Iraq. And it's really cool. It goes inside the Iraqi embassy and prison on a Texas military base. And that's it's insight to Iraqi pre-war intelligence that you would never expect. And it proves that there's never a time when diplomacy cannot achieve results. Even in situations that appear hopeless, we can still solve these problems. And I'm absolutely convinced we can stop a war with Iran. And it shows that how 9/11 was used in a real sense to create the war with Iraq, and all the steps that were taken to the easy protocols that were ignored, that were stopped in order to guarantee that this war could be implemented. And it's important because today we're looking at war with Iran, and my CIA contacts are telling me that we expect more false flag operations.
Absolutely, that's for sure.
Because that's how they know they can drive us into this war. That they know we don't want to go. That we're going to go kicking and screaming all the way. But what they'll do is they'll create probably several escalating threats, strikes again and again and again to drive us into this so that we feel compelled and hopeless. So
just as one last positive message, all this not really negativity, but it's all about the truth. We know that, so we can't put a pass sell on truth. But just as inspiration, what you mentioned before, that great message. I don't want to paraphrase, I don't want to butcher it, so I will let you explain it. That great message you mentioned, to thinking that people out there, it's negative or not, but we still have hope in beating and defeating whatever the enemy is or any of that. Just tell us what you mentioned tonight.
Listen, we can do this. We absolutely can. There's so much power in our movement. In the people. I have to cut this a little bit. The people do have power. We are not in a hopeless situation. Simply by standing up and
they don't want us
ignorant.
Exactly.
By letting them know we're not fooled. That false flag operations won't work.
They want
on
us to be
anymore,
powerless.
That we're not duped. That makes it much harder for them to get away with this. And really, the military does not want to fight this war. The intelligence community does not want to fight this war, and the people don't want to fight it. So we have powerful allies if we reach across the table and help each other.
All right, thank you, Susan, very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much for that incredible interview, Jeff. You are just doing amazing work. Jeff Durkin, WeAreChange Connecticut. Bird that suggests Mr. Romney is targeting children's programming. It's totally program. It's exactly what you can call it. Children's programming. I don't know what else you can call that. That is very well written and is absolutely factual. Ladies and gentlemen, the children are being programmed. It is absolutely disgusting. Programming is the right word to use. Incredible. So let me see, is there a video here? This would be hysterical if it is. Yeah, it is a video. Let's hear a Big Bird. Yeah. Oh my God, I haven't watched Sesame Street. Even my son didn't watch Sesame Street. He wasn't into that. He's like 14 now, a little less than 14, a little 13 and a half. And he was clearly the next generation. It was not a Big Bird kid, but whatever. Here's Big Bird. I remember him.
When your needs are beyond the standard, when you demand more than the status quo,
what is this garbage?
Than the Remax collection.
Oh, Remax Realty.
A new level of
I guess if you in this economy you can afford to sell your home and make a profit, maybe. The
I'm
Wall
Barack
Street
Obama,
Journal, that
and I
figures.
approve this message.
Oh, God.
Bernie Madoff, Ken Lay, Dennis Kozlowski, criminals, gluttons of greed, and the evil genius who towered over them. One man has the guts to speak his name.
Big Bird, Big Bird.
Big, yellow, a menace to our economy. Mitt Romney knows it's not Wall Street you have to worry about. It's Sesame Street.
Wait a minute. I gotta hear this again. This is too much. This is just too much.
UN Agenda 21. Bailout. False flag terror attacks. Bill Gates. Henry Kissinger. New World Order mind control. Bank of America stealing homes with cut and paste mortgage loans. Police, state, taser guns. FEMA camps, man to run. Monsanto rules the food supply while Big Pharma dopes your mind. Prison system, puppeteers, foundations, fund the fears, fund the evil through the years. The world's not as it appears. CIA smuggles drugs while Wachovia and Wells Fargo launder them, then give the proceeds to the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank. Now the IRS takes money out of every single check. Money created out of thin air and leave you with debt. They want to make you a serf, a slave to their demand. They want to take your life in every way they can. Fluoride, GMO, vaccines, chemtrails, United Nations genocide. The world they show us is not real. This is how they kill and steal. Rothschild, Bundy, Rockefeller, Club of Rome. On the Georgia Guidestones it's written in stone. Cut through the matrix, awaken to the lies. Do not be hypnotized. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thinking that each side difference will change things, and Obama just needs more time, and then the Republicans are saying, well, we need to do this and reduce the debt spending and all that, but meanwhile they want to keep the military strong. It's like again, Orwellian is the right word to use. It's an Orwellian situation. So what else we got going on here? Let me stretch this out so everyone can see the articles. What's on Drudge right now? U.S. officer got no reply to request for more security in Benghazi. SpaceX rocket glitch puts satellite in wrong orbit. But the real thing is, leave me alone, Obama. And this is from election 2012, the Wall Street Journal, no less. Big Bird wants out of the campaign ad. Look at that. It appears Big Bird is going to have an ad here, and it seems he's not thrilled about his cameo appearance in the presidential race. So Big Bird, the folks at Sesame Street, are asking the Obama campaign to pull down the TV ad released Tuesday that mocks Mitt Romney for vowing to yank the subsidy to PBS. At the presidential debate in Denver last week, Mr. Romney said he would end the subsidy in view of the nation's fiscal troubles. Again, I love Big Bird, the Republican challenger said, but I'm not going to keep spending money on things to borrow money from China to pay for. Up went the ad team by Obama called Big... Woo-hoo-hoo! All right. I can't get over this.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Bernie Madoff, Ken Lay, Dennis Kozlowski, criminals, gluttons of greed, and the evil genius who towered over
Rockefeller,
them.
Rothschild.
One man has the guts to speak his name.
Big Bird, Big Bird, Big Bird.
It's Big Bird.
Big, yellow, a menace to our economy. Mitt Romney knows it's not Wall Street you have to worry about. It's Sesame Street.
I'm going to stop the subsidy to PBS.
Mitt Romney, taking out our enemies no matter where they nest.
Oh my God, that is hysterical. Oh wow, that was funny. Oh my God. All right, let's see, getting back to information. Yeah, let's see what this thing is about. This, that's just too much. Let's just see what U.S. officer got no reply to requests for more security in Benghazi. Let's just keep it a little light for a minute before we get into the heavy fact that World War III is cooking in a pressure cooker right now. I mean, if you wanted to look at it, it's like, all the frogs are in the pot and it's nice and comfortable and the water's slowly being cooked up. Next thing you know, everyone's going to be cooked. All right. There was something funny else that I saw here that I wanted to, I thought looked interesting. Aside from, there was, yes, CEO threatens to fire employee. Good evening, Howard Nema, and this is Truth Talk News. Okay, it's Tuesday, October 9th. I just want to make sure my mic levels aren't too hot there. Okay. Welcome to the show, and welcome to the New World Order. What else can we say as things just get crazier every day? I can't even believe what's been going on in the media. I mean, let's just get right to it. Looking at the Drudge Report, it's unbelievable. Let's see what we have going on here. CEO threatens to fire employees if president is reelected, raise taxes. The big news, though, of course, is leave me alone, Obama. And again, the establishment media is all, has this country so divided. This left-right paradigm, this false paradigm.